Hey folks, and welcome to the first episode of our Maurya campaign. It is 278 BC in winter. It's February. Oh yeah, I should tell you guys, I forgot to mention this on the mods. I do believe I have the sub-mod for 12 turns per year, so we're going to have longer winters, longer summers, longer springs. I think it's an interesting take on the game, interesting way to play. As usual, when we start a campaign here, we're going to want to go pretty much right to left on the interface and just try to see what our entire situation is, get a whole view of everything. So, taking a look here, we do know it's winter, so of course our movement's going to be pretty bad, probably not going to be moving anywhere this turn. We have 3 food, which isn't great. If multiple factions, if multiple armies step into our territory, we're going to be running out of food and not getting replenishment very soon. If we start recruiting, we're going to be looking at, -1 food there. Not great. Our predicted income is 1626 per turn, which is also not fantastic. Pretty darn low. We can't add much army here, but we are in winter, so keep in mind that our income is very low in winter because our agricultural income just tanks. In our treasure, we have 20 grand, which is enough to get started. Okay. We have a bunch of factions nearby us. Looks like Bactria and the Seleucids hate us, but the Seleucids do have a trade agreement with us, so they'll probably hold off from attacking us directly. As far as friends go, we have no friends. Yeah. The faction that likes us the most is -11 with us. Yeah, okay. And a lot of these are Seleucid client states, so they're not going to be really willing to cooperate with me diplomatically, and indeed they don't have the ability to do so. As far as provinces go, our primary province of Maca is only making 918 per turn currently. You compare that to, say, Mesopotamia for the Seleucids, and we're looking at them having, 3 times that income, and that's not the only province they have. You look at Bactria earning, goodness, no. Ethiopia, of course, the Medowi feeling really happy right about now. As far as forces go, we start off with an infantryman commander here, the Mauryan Imperial Infantry. The Emperor's own infantry is the most elite and prestigious in the Mauryan standing army. It's also an excellent place to become an officer. That's pretty true in a lot of cultures, to be honest. The General's Bodyguard is a really good place to get promoted. We also have the Indian Reserve elephants. So these are some weaker elephants, I think, but they have more men in the unit, more elephants in the unit. Looks like they're essentially kind of like a feudal system. Everyone in these provinces or tribes or whatever is required to meet a quota of how many elephants I have to provide to the emperor. And yep, that is them. Okay. We have some macemen that look like a very... Actually, 20 armor is pretty good. I'm looking at their unit card here going, these guys have no armor, but they actually do. Well-armored warriors by Indian standards. Yeah, 20 is pretty not terrible. 11 attack and 13 defense is pretty decent. It's not terrible. Melee AP damage of 16 is insane. Fantastic. 17 weapon damage. Okay. Bonus versus infantry of 1 isn't like crazy, but it's all right. 2 speed is pretty bad, considering the other kind of units we're going to run with in this army. We have some Mauryan skirmishers, which look like, based on their cost to me, I think these are slightly above average skirmishers. Missile damage of 20. I mean, I don't know what to expect from skirmisher cost efficiency. I mean, I don't know what a normal skirmisher should perform as, but just looking at their unit card, I think maybe they have some shields, which is better than some skirmishers. What's their morale looking like? Base morale 41 is pretty decent. 4 speed. I'm seeing some effects. They're resistant to the heat. They can hide. They have good stamina. They have campaign stealth, so enemies that are attacking me on the campaign map don't know these guys exist in my army, which gives me a little bit of an advantage. They may attack me stupidly. And it looks like they can actually do a little bit of melee combat. 9 attack and 10 defense is not terrible, but they don't have much AP damage, so they might be able to be a stopgap. And it looks like they come from our 3rd class, our Shudras. Hey folks, if you guys are from India or you speak speak the languages and I am butchering a pronunciation, feel free to comment what I am butchering. Feel free to tell me what stuff means, because I don't speak the language and I'm actually really curious, to be honest. Shudras. So that's our third class, our peasants. So they come from that. So these are a good unit to sacrifice in a battle line. No events to worry about, okay? Diplomacy. We kind of took a look at this, but we have no friends. Now, I know from experience, Muscat here is a lot like Knossos. It's a lot like Crete. They want to expand, and they're friendly with Sabah here, and they're kind of friendly with Himyar here. So they're not going to go north through the desert to attack Kidri, who they also like. They're going to attack me. Now, I could try for a non-aggression pact, but I don't know if it's worth it. I legitimately don't know if it's worth it. This is a lot of money to drop down on my first turn. Looking at least 4,000, I think. Let's see, when does it become high? So yeah, a 4,000 payment would secure a non-aggression pact with me. And they are rated as loyal on reliability. On my normal campaign, though, these guys were actually a great source of experience for my armies because they kept landing on my territory and I kept smacking them in the face as they did, because they didn't have enough movement to counter me. So I'm going to let them do that. Now, hopefully that's not a mistake because this is hard campaign and I may come under attack more. But we're going to leave that on the table, I think. There's not really a whole lot of diplomacy I really care to do with Maurya. I have these trading opportunities here, but I'm going to tell you right now, these guys are not going to go for trading opportunities for the most part, even if I throw quite a bit of money at them. Although, okay, 2,000 on turn 1 for a trade agreement. I mean, you know, I'm probably going to lose value on this because I'm probably going to be attacked. However, they may be unwilling to break that trade agreement with me, and that may get me enough relationship with these guys to avoid those attacks. And that will help me around turn 25 or so when they're sending like their second or third stack on me. Let's do that. I'm not worried about the other ones. These other Arabian factions never give me any trouble. So do I want to do anything else with diplomacy right now? No, I mean, no one else is going to take this trade, and all of these people are going to attack me eventually, or I'll attack them. So I'm going to want to keep an eye on Harmozia, and when they abandon it, inevitably, I'm going to figure out how to take it, or I'm going to eventually march up to Bomb, and that will leave Pura exposed, and they may march in to take it, and I will come back and hit them in the butt. And that's what I did last time. We'll see if that works out, right? Plans change. So let's look at text real quick. As pretty much always in every single campaign I do in Divide et Impera, because of the plague mechanic, I get water sluicing? How do you pronounce that word? Sluicing is how I want to say it. I don't think that's right. I think that's a New York accent. So 3+ sanitation in all regions. I don't care about the industry and I don't care about the growth. But I want that sanitation because right now we're looking at a 1% turn chance per turn of a plague, which will decimate my armies in the region. It could completely stall out my economy. It can completely stall out my population growth, which is so precarious early game. I've stated this a few times. You know, there are choices that I don't super agree with DEI, and I've always found that like this 1% chance is not 1%. This 1% chance is 100% over 50 turns. It will happen. It has happened every single campaign. I do not get this tech, and any campaign that I sit under, I have negative sanitation. I get a plague within 50 turns, which is a 1% chance. What are the odds of that? Maybe pretty high. I'm not good at math, and that's fair and all that, right? But I do feel like I'm railroaded into getting this every time, and because it's just so critical. Plague is so bad. It's a game ender. If it hits you, if you just get unlucky and it hits you on turn 8, you lose. It's over. There are some cases where that's not the case, but it is the case enough that I just feel railroaded. But we'll go for it. It's not that big of a loss. We'll have that tech within 10 turns. It's a fair investment as well. I mean, this is all good. The growth is kind of not great because of the mods I have, which they kind of remove growth as a concept. But the minus 5% capital and minor settlement cost, getting that early is decent. There's good reason to do that. So as far as finances go, well, there's something to be said for taxing the living bejesus out of my people, because I don't expect to leave this settlement, this province, for the beginning portions of the game. It's going to be a while before I leave. The only reason I might hold off is because it really messes with your population growth. So we're looking at, like, say, +5 on our second class. Versus plus 32. Okay, so you're looking at 6 times fewer growth on my second class, and those guys are so critical. My second class citizens, especially in my capital. Now this will keep growing over time, as I get more bonuses. But if I kill all of these guys at the beginning through taxes, you can really stunt your growth. So you want to think about that in terms of like a very long curve over time. How do you want to impact your curve? And the reality is you do whatever you need to do to survive, but for the most part, just keep it normal. But you will see in this campaign, we're going to be taxing the hell out of our citizens quite often. On to objectives. So to win a total victory, the game wants me to capture Egypt and Asia and Syria and Rome and Scythia and Hayazdan. I think that's Armenia. I'm not gonna worry about that. As far as the goals for this campaign, I haven't actually decided exactly what goals I want, what my end game is. I haven't decided like what territory do I want to end the game controlling, and say I win. In my mind, this is enough territory. My empire is big enough that it has an impact on history, and I'm happy with it. I'm not sure. I'm thinking, I may want to control the entire eastern side of the map and just expand out until maybe I control all of Turkey and Greece. Or I may want to go smaller and just control this eastern side of the map in Arabia. Oh God, I don't want to deal with Arabia. That was so horrible dealing with them in the Medowi campaign. This march through the desert is evil. So I'm not sure. My last campaign, I ended up just kind of organically expanding towards the Seleucids, and I was really clapping the Seleucids, to be honest with you. I took Seleucia they didn't even have anything to defend it. That reminds me, before I forget, I've done this before. Set the battle difficulty down to normal. It's recommended you play the battle difficulty on normal no matter how high your campaign difficulty is. Okay. What else do we want to worry about? Right. Characters and politics. Okay, so Bindusara here is our Samrat. So he's our leader. He's 50, so he's quite old. He is not going to be around for that much longer. He's got, well, this changes things, right? We do have 12 turns per year. So if he lives to be 65, 15 times 12 is a number that is large. I'm gonna keep him then. I was thinking about removing him from the field as a commander, but I think he'll live long enough to pay for himself. Now, as far as our, let's look at our son. So we do have a wife, Dama. She's clever, research rate, cunning, loyalty, and chance to having children. Great wife. And Bindusara here is religious. Cool. Okay. Great set of couples here. We can use her pretty early, in fact. I wonder if I might want to send her to be a diplomat over to Muscat. Because I'm really thinking about this, and I think it's worth investing a little bit of money to prevent them from sending ships over the sea to attack me. You've seen this when you play as Sparta and Knossos keeps landing boats. It can be a real disaster. It kind of worked out my last campaign, but I have a feeling that on hard difficulty, I'm going to be a little more pressed, and I think I want them off me for that reason. Let's see if we can get away with sending her as a diplomat. They like me at 8, so if she succeeds this mission, we're going to be in good standing with them and might be able to get a cheaper, easier non-aggression pact, which they might honor due to their loyal reliability rating. However, she might also fail this and make them hate us, and then they'll attack us. So, gamble, right? I think higher rank ones have a better chance, maybe, or it's completely random. I don't know. There's a lot of... I've heard people say theories about how the chances are weighted for how well diplomats work. But I think I've heard other people say it's completely random. I don't know who to believe. So we can't get all of our sons married this turn. We have Ashoka and Vitashoka. Vitashoka is our heir. He's 18. It's interesting that Ashoka isn't our heir at 22. The eldest son isn't the heir. Why is that, I wonder? I wonder if there's like a historical reason for that. And then we have a Susima here who is 24 and he's dead. Tragedy befalling this family, right? Ashoka's diligent. Minus 10% industry building, plus 5% wealth from industry. Meh. And this guy has civility, which, public order plus. That's not terrible. What does Bindusara have? Constancy. It's a very mediocre skill. All of these skills are like kind of mediocre. This one's okay. So we can get Ashoka married. Cost 580. Yeah, let's do it. We want the gravitas early built up, because as we look at our politics screen here, we will see that we are a provincial empire which has minus 10 loyalty for all political parties. That's pretty rough. Minus 20% public order penalties due to presence of foreign cultures. So this is pretty good because this stacks on top of our kingdoms, our empire's trait, right? 15% minus public order is our kingdom trait. Let's look at that. I think it'll be somewhere. I probably already scrolled over it. There it is. Yeah, live by the sword, Hellenic mistrust, warrior society. I don't... There it is. Okay. Right. So multiculturalism. So yeah, this stacks pretty well with the provincial empire. So it means this faction just doesn't deal with foreign public order issues very much. Extra public order for all provinces is nice. Minus 5 upkeep for all armies is nice. Plus 5 empire maintenance is terrible, but the alternative is an oligarchy to avoid that, so hegemonic empire. I'm not used to these government types. Different empires. I don't remember this, to be honest with you. I'm on a new version of Divide et Impera from what I last played. It's not the most up-to-date. The devs released like a nomadic update or something, like right when I was like a few days before I got my mods set up, and I don't want to mess with my load order. Plus 2 available edicts, huh? I'm wondering if... So hegemonic is kind of our big boy empire, just like the Romans have their empire. Because you need above 65% influence for them too. Extra edicts. Bad diplomacy. Bad building costs. Great research rates for both civil and military. Extra loyalty is nice. Plus 1 recruitment slots is really nice, but plus 8% empire maintenance, and you lose the public order and the upkeep? Yikes. I don't know. Seems like a sustainable thing that you would do if you're really struggling with your political parties, which, well, it sure looks like we've rolled pretty poorly. So why do these guys hate us? Okay, most of it's due to the government type. Let's look at these traits real quick. So the Zoroastrian court, and let's take a look. So one thing you need to know about the politics in Rome 2 is that they are bugged. Period. End of story. So what I understand is that influence lost from your top 2 political families will flow into the bottom family. So your like noble family is usually what they're called, noble families or something like that. They will start snowballing their influence over time. So what you have to do, I believe, if I recall correctly, I think, because it's hard to remember this bug stuff, I think you need to make sure that these dudes have a little bit of influence. Basically, if you steal all of the influence, if you gain influence too fast, you'll steal it from these dudes, and then these dudes will get all of the influence. So these guys will have like 0 influence. And that can be really problematic with one party having all the influence, because they'll actually then outscale you too. So you won't get any influence either. They will become the most powerful one because I don't know. So yeah, and whoever has more influence owns more regions. So it gets worse as it goes. It snowballs. And then you have to deal with a civil war. And as you can see, these guys that are going to become super powerful potentially, they hate us. They hate us. Why? Because their leader has a thirst for power. Son of a... Oh my god. Okay, so he has a -10 from the government type, and he has another -10 because he's not top dog. Oh, this is one of the worst traits. Another worst trait is populist. -10 loyalty for every level of taxes above average. Oh, man. I really leaned on high taxes the last run I tried of this. But with populist, I can't. And it's all leader traits. It's all leader traits. It's not the party traits. It's all leader traits. This is just a bad roll. The only good one here is agriculturalist. +5 loyalty for having food surplus. That'll be true. So these guys are kind of manageable. Why is your loyalty higher than their loyalty? Because of xenophile? Yeah, because of xenophile. Because of +4. But you have +5 from agriculture. So why? Because you hate the Greeks. Okay, well, that'll go away over time. Public order issues will go away over time as we deal with having more wars, warrior society. But damn, these political parties are really bad. Really, really, really bad. I almost want to massacre people early. Get these guys killed, maybe. This guy mainly. The other ones are manageable, but it's bad enough right now that to survive with these dudes, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to juggle securing loyalty every few turns, every 10 turns. And how many turns? 5 turns. Ugh. Which you can see is 2,600 currently at this level of influence. And I'm also going to have to get them married, which is going to increase their gravitas, which is fine. I want them to have more gravitas. And then I'm going to have to send their wives on missions, which also raises their loyalty temporarily, and it costs a lot of money to deal with this. So this is another challenge I'm going to have. And the difficulty level is also hurting a lot. And then Imperium level is going to go up pretty soon, and that's providing another +10 to loyalty. Wait, no, it's not. We actually start at level 2, so we only have 15 loyalty, but we'll get to level 3 relatively fast, and then we'll lose another 10 loyalty. Yikes. Jeez, yikes. Okay. We're going to have civil wars this campaign is what I'm thinking. I don't want to manage that stuff, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about just letting civil wars happen, which means we may end up snowballing our influence out of control and taking, issues with that, having issues just controlling the empire as a result. However, the penalties for being at like the second highest level of influence isn't that bad in this game. So as long as I keep like one party kind of alive, keep myself at exalted at worst, I don't start hitting the public order penalties until much further down the line. A lot of this stuff sucks to, go from +6 public order to +3 and, and losing some tax rate sucks. But, the penalties for this are not game ending. And I could be wrong, but I feel like there are factions that are harder to juggle than this. There are ones where you have to, like the Romans or some of the tribal factions, where you have to like keep them all balanced together, or you just lose. Okay, So now we know exactly where we stand, right? We are not in a great space economically. We are not in a great space. We're okay militarily. We're no worse than anyone else. But I'll tell you what, if we go try to recruit people, we can only recruit 3 per turn, which is better than I was expecting. I thought we would only be able to recruit 2 per turn, which means we couldn't even recruit guys. So I was worried about that, but we're actually good. So, we're not in a great position economically. We're not in the best position diplomatically. We're not in the best position militarily in the sense that any of these factions we attack, they're going to be unified against me. So if I click on Seleucids over here, you can kind of, well, you can see they have all these satrapies, all these client states. So they have Zranka, and they have Hariva. Hariva's last game, Hariva, how do I pronounce them? Yeah, Hariva. They were up like here somewhere, and they took this settlement from Bactria, and then they came and attacked me at Zranka. So that may happen again. Parsa is over here and may expand up here into Parthia eventually. Parthava itself is also here. Azagarta is right here, and Lydia. I forget exactly where Lydia is. And, you know, from what I understand, I thought there was a script where these guys were eventually supposed to turn against the Seleucids, but last game that I played, I think only 1 satrapy did so. After 50 turns, only 1 had rebelled against the Seleucids, and I'm not sure if that was bugged or not, because I tried 2 campaigns, and the first one I tried, they all rebelled, and the second one, only 1 rebelled. So I don't know what is the criteria here for that. So we're running without a lot of information. We do have some good stuff going for us, like we do own some spice trade. Eventually, people will really want to trade with us, but not so much right now. And we have good provinces. So these are very defendable. Aurea is not very defendable because it's on the water, but not too many people are eligible to really attack us. Not too many people are going to try to attack us on water. Hopefully we don't have to deal with pirates for a good while. We may, but hopefully we don't. But we have nice wide open space here. So anyone that wants to attack us is going to have to take, like, they're going to be in my view for 1 turn before they attack me, giving me time to counter them. So that's nice owning this big space instead of, say, Sparta, which has, like, you know, half a turn of movement worth of space in it. Yeah. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to delete those macemen because they're not going to mesh with the style of army I want to run here. We're going to go for cheapest first. So what are we thinking? So first and foremost, I'm going to get some Indian tribesmen. And I'm going to want, to start with, I'm going to want 4. These guys are very fast. They're 4 speed. They're really designed to go kill archers and javelins and maybe like hunt down some cavalry and just kind of keep them occupied. But mostly I use them to plug gaps in the line, to hold the line, and to do a little bit of flanking action on lightly armored troops. And it works pretty decently. So these are my like light flanking troops. They're kind of equivalent to, say, like light hoplites. They're not as good, but they're very cheap, and they have 300 men in the unit, so they plug a lot of space. After that, we're going to get some Mauryan spearmen. So very basic spearmen. They obtain some basic training. They're not, you know, He-Man or anything, but they hold okay. They have 47 base morale, which is not bad at all. In fact, a lot of these units have pretty high morale, in fact, for like very poorly trained levies. Not bad. Then, you know, as with many cheap armies in this game, we're going to have a bit of a missile focus. So we're going to go for 6 of these. And we're definitely going to go for the much more expensive Indian levy longbowmen. We're not going to go with these Persian archers. You'll see that these guys have better range, better missile damage, less shots per minute. Interesting. They have a little bit of melee attack. Yeah, these guys can't do melee. Some of the archers we get later kind of can. Looks like they're heat resistant too, which is interesting because it looks like the Persians are not. Yeah, a little bit of morale, not crazy morale, but enough. I meant to get 6 there. So this is the army we're going to be starting with. Oh, wait, we don't need 6 javelins because we already have a javelin. There you go. This is what we're going to start with, essentially. And then I'm going to hopefully get a line of 6 of these allied swordsmen. Troops from central India sent by allied kingdoms. These guys are pretty darn good. They're not bad at all. It's nice to have early swordsmen that don't suck. 12-11 for melee attack and defense. Melee AP of damage of 7. Pretty good. Pretty good. It means they can kind of, punch a little bit above their weight class. They're not an anti-armor unit. And 15 armor, it's not great, but it's not terrible. And most importantly, you'll notice that this whole army is at least 3 speed, with the exception of the general, who I don't care how fast he moves. He's not going to be involved in combat for the most part. But this is going to be a relatively quick infantry army. And as I recall it, we have some bonus to infantry, right? Yeah, increased experience for infantry. So we're going to focus infantry at the beginning, not a whole lot of elephants, because elephants, even these cheap ones, are 427 per turn, and that's with our minus 10% upkeep cost. We can't afford elephants. Even if we could recruit them, and we can't. So with that said, I can't afford to do all the things I want to do. So first thing, I do want to upgrade my satrapal capital. That is super important. It's non-negotiable. And we also want to come over here to Aurea, and we want to get some food to support that capital, because if you remember, we only have like 3 food. We're about to go down from -2 to -5, so we're going to eat all of that 3 food. So let's get that 2 food back. And this faction is going to go swing into grain pits, so we're going to have food troubles too, because we don't have access to war horses. Eventually, once we have war horses, we may swing into those for profits. However, I'm not seeing that that's a good option economically. Now that I think of it, grain pits are just better. Grain pits are just better. War horses use food. The alternative, of course, is that you go into winter preserves for 650 wealth from farming. But if you look at the negatives on that, it's just too brutal. -8 public order for this is crazy. But the granary, on the other hand, only provides 150 less in wealth, and you notice it also boosts your agriculture wealth by 30%. If you have just a couple of these in a province, you're boosting your agriculture wealth by 60%. That absolutely outdoes winter preserves in every way. There's no reason to have this. It's completely it's not useful for this faction, is what I'm saying. So we want to go grain pits, in my opinion. The other thing we want to take care of is I like to have supply pits, because we are going to eat a lot of food, and we actually start out with not much food. So I think probably starting next turn, I don't necessarily want to move this turn, but starting next turn, I think I'm going to move my faction leader down to Aurea. And we're going to eat the food over here instead, so that Pura can build up its food. Beyond that, I don't know that I want to build anything else. Yes, I do. So at the beginning of this game, and at the beginning of the last campaign I tried as well, I was stuck basically recruiting 2 units per turn. And I had to do that until I had about a 30 to 35 man stack. It took a while. So once I close out this video, I'll probably just burn some turns and do some recruiting unless something happens, and then I'll loop you guys back in. So pay attention to the season and the year, and I'll try to show you guys what month we're on. So right now we're on February, but the other thing I want to set up is I want to set up temples, because for the Mauryans, we are going to be going into Shrine of Sri Devi. So, +3 public order per turn, and you can see that goes up to a total of +6, which isn't great. Decent sanitation, though, at +8 sanitation, which you can see is comparable to pretty much everything else. And more importantly, you can see here 20% wealth from all sources. Let that sink in. 20% wealth from all sources. And then you stack that with granaries, 30% wealth from agriculture, stack it with another granary, 30% wealth from agriculture, stack that with a supply pit for 10% wealth from agriculture, take a eastern market for 10% wealth from farming, take a satrapal capital for 10% wealth from all sources, eventually, long term, 15% wealth from all sources. We're just stacking those bonuses. So that's the game plan, essentially. We're going to get lots and lots of money. And what I've found is successful for this faction so far on normal, we'll see, is essentially playing a standoffish hermit kingdom. We're going to build our own wealth, and we're going to rely on no one but ourselves. We're going to build it up, build our buildings, make sure our army is functional. And yes, our first couple of fights are going to be with armies that have better numbers and more units than we do. But if we can win even one major battle like that, we have the resources to just keep pushing. Anyways, folks, that's the plan. I know that was a lot of talking and not a lot of moving for the first turn. We didn't even get through the first turn. I guess let's close out the turn. Let's actually end the turn on the first video, yeah? I hope you guys like that I'm going in depth with that stuff. People have told me in the past that they appreciate that kind of analysis. So I'm going deep in, and I think the meta game here is really interesting. There's a lot of consideration. There's a lot of consideration to make when you start a campaign like this. Now you guys kind of know what my thought process is. And playing like a hermit kingdom is very reasonable to my play style. I'm kind of a turtley player anyways. But, the only other things you could do is you could Zerg rush over to bomb and take bomb. You could Zerg rush over to Frata, and that's probably, if you think about it, like, that's probably what you're intended to do because it's part of the province, so you're encouraged to do that. And maybe we do that. Maybe we trigger this war early, but I have to be confident that we can take them on, and we may not be able to. So I got to send a spy up there, but I can't afford a spy. But I have to get these buildings up, 100% I have to. So, different ways to play it. I like playing Divide et Impera kind of turtley. We'll see how it goes. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good one, guys. All right, bye.